Today's episode is brought to you by the best store in the universe. Thousands of shirts, but not really. Shop now and support the show at maddoxrules.com. Welcome to the best debate in the universe. Every debate in the universe, from not watching baseball to visiting the Wailing Wall. With over 3.5 million downloads, I'm your host, Maddox. With me is the first tangent officer, Ron Babcock.
Hey.
And as always, the journalist in moderation, Taylor Nikolai.
Something about pickleball.
Welcome back to the show. Guys, amazing show this week, and we remembered to hit the record button.
Oh,
Thank you,
wow.
Ron. So Ron was kind of giving me shit last episode.
When you forgot to hit the record button?
Yeah.
I'm the dick.
Yeah, well, you were like, oh, you record 3 versions of this podcast. Well, guess what? One of them fucking saved me, didn't it? Didn't it? Fucking paid off, Ron.
You always be like, whenever a guest comes on, you're always like, I record like 3 versions of this, because that's the thing they're most interested in. You're just so proud of your own little tech prowess.
It's something, it's a little something.
Which
a little
version
bit of
saved
trivia.
us? Which version was it that saved us?
The version that saved us was, believe it or not, the live stream to YouTube, which we're not doing for this episode. But if you tune in on Saturdays, we do a live stream of this broadcast. They've been super fun. We experimented with it a couple of weeks ago. Everyone loved it. Everyone. Even my mom, who doesn't like anything I do. But we should introduce our guest this week before we move on. She's a very talented artist who's worked on a billion movies. Please welcome to the show, Banana.
Hi.
Banana, welcome to the show. So we've had a mango on the show. We had, what was the...
Now you have a fruit salad.
Yeah, almost. We need one other fruit on the show, and we got ourselves a fruit salad. So anyway... Banana, welcome to the show. We're so glad. We've been friends for almost, 15, 20 years or something like that,
It's been
right?
a little too long.
Yeah, like daycare, pretty much. I think that's where we met, a nursery. We've been a long time friends. We saw each other at a Comic-Con a long time ago, right? Like early Comic-Con, which, by the way, guys, coming up, my booth number is 3917, and lots of exciting stuff. I'm also going to be presenting my book for the first time, which, by the way, I found out the publisher never tells me anything, but the paperback version of my book came out, and the publisher just kind of released it, didn't tell. I'm never told. I'm the last to know these things. And that happened with my last 2 books as well. The paperback version comes out, nobody tells me anything. It's just in stores one day, and people are emailing me. It's like, hey, Maddox, what's this book of yours with the new cover? They did that with The Alphabet of Manliness and I Am Better Than Your Kids.
Wow, people really respect you, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you would think you know how the world works by now.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sorry there's such a big deal when it comes to covers,
The cover's important. It's like you're...
No, but it's the same cover. It's just a different material.
It's a different cover.
No, it's a different
Wait,
cover.
can I see it? I haven't seen it.
So Crappy Children's Artwork, that's the new cover. And then the old cover was I Am Better Than Your Kids, and it was a portrait of, the portrait with
I
the
didn't know it was a
archer.
different cover.
Totally different. And they did that with The Alphabet of Manliness, too, although that was more of a palette swap.
Is this a popular thing that they do, just to be like...
They do it sometimes if they want to market test, and then sometimes for the paperback version, yeah, they'll change up the cover and that sort of thing. They did it with my new book too, Fuck Whales. So what happened though with my new book is we produced over 30 different covers. And I wish I could show you some of these. They're amazing. But we ended up going with the red and black cover for the hardcover, and then for the white one, we used one of the alternates that we had.
So was the title all Fuck Whales, or did you have different titles like Whales, not a fan?
Yeah, there were a lot of different versions of this because the book is a book of satire. It's not all about whales. In fact, there's only one chapter about whales in the entire book. But the rest of it, there's a lot of different rants and satire in there. But
Maddox, can I get it autographed at Comic-Con?
I'll give you a deal.
But everybody else gets it free.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we should get to the debate this week. This was a special request from Banana. She wanted to debate what is the best movie monster of all time. Now, we've done debates kind of like this in the past, like the biggest douchebag in the universe, that sort of thing. These are multi-part series, so we may do multiple episodes of these. But before we move on, I should mention at the tail end of the show, we've got some quick news headlines with our junior journalist, Taylor Nikolai, and some voicemail. The voicemail number is on our website, madcastmedia.com. Click on the best debate. The voicemail number is at the bottom of every episode.
I'm the journalist in moderation.
Oh,
now.
journalist in moderation. What did I call you?
Junior journalist.
Yeah, journalist in moderation. Sorry, you got a promotion.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for apologizing. But before we move on, let's hear everyone's buzzers. Here's what mine sounds like. Banana. And Ron.
My phone died.
If you hear a buzzer or Ron from anyone at this table, that means someone is disagreeing with someone else, or we're just chiming in with an interjection to point out a logical fallacy, which there probably won't be any because this is a debate about the best movie monster of all time. Banana, as our guest this week, I'm going to give you first stab at the debate. What is the best movie monster?
Can I not be first?
I guess I'll go first. Because here's the thing. It's not going to matter which order we go in. You're going to lose because I already got this one in the bag, all right?
Yeah.
The best movie monster of all
Maddox
time.
always comes first.
That's
We'll see about that.
So guys, I come first and sometimes the only one.
Ew.
You're welcome, ladies.
You know, I don't think I ever realized this before. You have like really hairy ape hands.
Yeah, I know.
You could
People
like
tell
braid
me.
that hair.
Yeah, I have very hairy knuckles. If you guys come meet me at Comic-Con in person, I'll show you my knuckle hair. They used to call me the caveman at my old job because I would lower. No, I
Were you one of those
voluntarily-
Geico people?
No, but I
Were you
predicted. Remember, I talked about this last episode. I predicted the caveman.
You missed your calling in life. You should have been the Geico caveman.
I should have been a surfer, I think. But anyway, we should talk about.
That is a curveball.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, there's a whole other tangent there with
Very
surfing.
miscellaneous.
Yeah, our first tangent officer here, Ron. His
I love
job.
tangents.
Yeah,
I love them.
he takes us off course. But we should back onto course. We should talk about the best movie monster of all time. Banana, you're fucked right out the gates with this one because it's Godzilla. Yes. Fucking Godzilla is the best movie monster of all time, and I've won with Godzilla time and time again. Godzilla is the best.
What do you love about Godzilla? What
Okay.
makes him the best?
He's super cool. All right, that's
Super cool. He'll buy you like beer
Undisputable.
if you're not old enough.
there's
Oh my gosh.
You have the same argument for Lopan.
Lopan is super cool. That's correct.
Who the fuck is Lopan?
From Big Trouble in Little
Seriously?
China.
Oh, Lopan's fucking tight.
Lopan from the old guy in Big Trouble in Little
Yeah.
China. Yeah. Oh, that guy fucking crushes some puss. I mean,
Only
sure.
if you have green eyes.
Every like 2,000 years when you are an Asian woman with green eyes, which is very rare, apparently. I looked up. I had to do a lot of research on Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China a long time ago, and I looked up his backstory. It's a sentence in an old Fangoria episode where they interviewed John Carpenter, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I just made some shit up," and he's like, doesn't really have a backstory. He's just like a new invention of his. An innovation of his. Anyway, no, but not Lopan. It's Godzilla, okay? First of all, Godzilla is radioactive. So if you were going to fight Godzilla, he wouldn't even have to swing his tail. He wouldn't have to step on you. He wouldn't have to use his radioactive breath. You know what he would have to do? Nothing, because he gives you cancer.
What's Godzilla's end game? You know, like a lot of times there are villains because they want to rule the world.
Yeah.
They want to have power.
Right.
Godzilla just comes in,
Yeah.
fuck shit up.
Fuck shit up.
And what's the point? You know, there's not even another like lizard for him to fuck.
You know,
It's just him fucking shit up.
It's just
But
pure chaos.
Godzilla is the guy who comes to the party, same thing, wrecks shit. He just kind of destroys everything, drinks all your beer, eats all your food, and then maybe leaves
And
with
then like
one or two.
Godzilla breaks out an acoustic guitar,
No, that's not Godzilla. You're thinking of something.
starts singing center field.
Yeah.
Is Godzilla angry in those movies? Like, is he trying to destroy the towns, or is it all incidental?
Good question, Taylor, because in some movies in some movies Godzilla it's just incidental, right? But it depends on the director. There was a director in the late 90s who directed 2 Godzilla movies and 1 Gamera movie. And he made Godzilla such a prick in these movies where there's a scene where there's a girl who's like laid up in a hospital bed in a gurney, and her leg is in a sling or whatever, and she's really worried because she sees Godzilla coming through the horizon, and he's like slowly stomping towards her, and there's like this long shot of her like crying and screaming and like, oh no, I can't move, help me. All the nurses have left, and then Godzilla at the last second turns and avoids the hospital, and she goes, whew. And then all of a sudden, Godzilla's tail comes and whacks the hospital down.
Oh my god.
It's so good.
I will say this about Godzilla. I do like that there has been a ton of movies about Godzilla that has spanned decades. It's kind of like the James Bond of
Yeah.
like destruction movies.
Right.
You know, like, and he's been interpreted in different ways because sometimes Godzilla was the hero.
Yes.
Because it would fight off other monsters.
Yeah.
So I do like
Mothra.
the duality of that character.
In Godzilla versus Monster X, okay, so these aliens come down to Earth and they're like, super fucking SWAT. These aliens also, you look at them, they're like, fuck, those guys crushed some pee. And it's because they're like in one pieces, they look cool as shit, they have visors, they look fucking futuristic as shit, they're like evolved, they don't even take dumps anymore. So they come down to Earth and they're like, foolish humans, except they're like, being diplomatic and cordial about it. They're like, we need your help, Earthlings. They're like, oh, yeah, what can we help you with? They're like, we have this terrible creature on our planet called Monster Zero. Monster Zero is King Ghidorah, the three-headed Godzilla, essentially. And Earth is like, oh, yeah, please take our Godzilla to fight your Monster Zero. It's the least we could do. And the aliens are like, it worked, idiots. So they grab Godzilla, put him on Planet X to fight King Ghidorah. Well, guess what? Godzilla was Earth's best defense against the alien invasion. And then as soon as Earth's defense was gone, the aliens came back and were like, haha, foolish Earthlings, we're here for your water, you fucking idiots. And then they started taking all the water and resources from Earth. What
And
a
if
cool
you
movie.
want to hear more movie recaps that you've never seen, then make sure to visit booth 3917 at Comic-Con.
917.
Ron, what is your favorite monster?
It's Unrequited Love in Fair to Remember.
Yes! Yes! All right, can we just end the podcast there?
I don't really see. I mean, I've seen monster movies, but it's not one of those things like I'm into monster movies. So I just had to think about what's the monster that scared me.
Yeah.
That actually really scared me. And when I was a kid, this is a movie I saw, and it's an old movie, but I remember it freaking me the fuck out. And it was The Blob.
Whoa! I
The
love
Blob
the Blob.
scared the shit out of me when I
Yeah.
was a kid because it was this slow-moving,
Yes.
possibly sentient being.
Holy shit.
And it was just like, and I just remember like, I don't know, it was just it just would slowly overtake things and you would get away from it, but you never felt safe. And I remember as a kid being really creeped out by it.
2 weeks ago, we talked about the scariest movie of all time. My pick, if I didn't pick The Blair Witch Project, which I probably shouldn't have, but it would have been
very confident
I know.
about that joke.
I was, and it came dead last. Lost out to An Affair to Remember.
Banana,
with
that was
Carey
my
Grant.
pick. Yeah.
But
It's terrifying.
the Blob was the first movie that actually scared me as a kid. Especially, I watched the old 1960s The Blob, and the acting in it was so deadpan that you genuinely felt like these actors, either they didn't want to be there or they were genuinely horrified of the Blob. And it was this slow-moving force, which is almost scarier than a fast one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
like,
it's unstoppable.
It's what you... It was like, remember when 28 Days... Or what was the zombie movie where the zombies, instead of being slow, were really fucking fast?
28 Days Later.
Was that 28 Days
Yeah.
Later? I remember that being like really terrifying to me because it was just something you don't expect. In
Right.
most scary movies,
Yeah.
everything moves really aggressively, and the Blob was just this slow moving, like, but never ending. Like
It
they
was
couldn't
never ending.
stop it, and
Yeah.
that's the thing that kind of scared me.
And also the beauty about the Blob, as a movie and a creature, is that it starts out slow and small and innocuous, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at this like weird creature," and then they kind of experiment with it, and it sucks in the first person, and it grows like almost like a deadly Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that Katamari got the idea from the Blob?
Oh, maybe.
I mean, that game is just
It's a great game.
built for getting high.
Yeah. If you guys haven't played Katamari Damacy, it's this old Japanese game where you roll a ball and everything it touches sticks to the ball.
Yeah, and
It's
also if
fantastic.
you've never gotten high before, you should also do that and play Katamari because you could just burn a Saturday.
Okay, we do not endorse drugs here at Madcast Media, but
All right, so I heard you guys, and I respect your opinions, but you're wrong. The best monster is The Thing. And we talked a lot about, scary movies the other day, and I was kind of ashamed of myself. In the process, I was thinking in my head, I want to talk about The Thing so bad, but it's just enough of a not like horror film that I didn't want to bring it up because it's basically my favorite film is The Thing.
Really?
Yeah.
One of the best movies ever made ever. It's
It's-
like one of my favorites.
Amazing.
it's a perfect movie. I would
Yes,
say there's
it's
nothing
a
I would
perfect
change.
movie.
So are we putting it in the same category as An Affair to Remember?
I mean, thanks to you, Ron, every other horror movie in existence is now in
Wow.
the same category.
Okay, I'm listening.
Everything about The Thing was an amazing film. Just like the direction, the setup, the everything was amazing. And it really is the best monster because you don't know who the thing is. And that's the scariest thing. When I think about horror, I talked a lot in that one episode about like what scares me the most or scares people the most in general. You know what's really scary about viruses and like all this thing is the unknown. And with the thing, you don't know who the thing is. And that's what's so scary about it.
It's kind of like the Blair Witch. You also don't know who she is. Why the fuck would everyone fucking vote down Blair Witch, you fucking idiots? Everyone
it's
on
because
the show,
they're children. I mean, like that has to be it. Because, like I said, like if you grew up and you never watched the Blair Witch, you didn't watch it in the context that it was important to watch it in.
I did, and I still think it sucked.
Whoa,
Wow,
Banana. Okay, let me guess, Banana. Did you grow up in SoCal,
Like a normal person?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not from Salt Lake, Utah, like you.
Yes, it's Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay, Salt Lake is a lake, and the city is the city that surrounds it.
I don't think anybody at this table knows the difference.
wow,
or
Maddox,
cares.
you really burned her.
I know. Well, I said this last episode. If you grew up in an area that had an orchard or a forest that was similar to the one in Blair Witch, then you found it more scary because you could relate. But
It's an East Coast thing for sure.
yeah,
Just like the idea,
or Midwest.
Because my family used to be like, "What are you gonna do today?" I'm like, "I don't know, just go in the woods and break shit with my friends."
Yeah.
And my family would be like, "Yeah, have fun." Like
Really?
we just would go into the woods.
There was this old gypsy house near like where I grew up, and it was dilapidated, and they had all this chain link fence, and every now and then I'd break in, and there was like just the floor had collapsed, and you could see downstairs in the basement. It was dark and drippy and
Why
crazy.
is it a gypsy house?
Because it was, someone told me it was like some gypsies lived there a long time ago, and that was the old gypsy
There's
house.
all this, like, as a kid, there were always those things where, like, there was an abandoned house here, there was a fire, the
Yeah.
girl died.
Yeah.
And, like, you just go in the woods and break sticks.
There's
That's
always
all
what you
I
do,
did
yeah.
for, like, ages.
I think we
ages,
all
like,
had very
11
different
through 14.
childhoods.
Yeah.
Did you
Well,
guys
I
ever find like porno magazines?
Yes.
Yeah.
All the
What is
time.
that
What's
about?
porno?
I've had a videotape when I was little.
The first time I ever saw a naked woman, I was playing Little League Baseball, and I was in the outfield, and a ripped out page from like a Hustler blew by me like a porno tumbleweed. And I remember just like following I left the game, and I just started following the page because I'd never seen a naked woman before. And I remember
Yeah.
looking at it and being really fucking scared because it was way too aggressive an
Yes.
image
Yeah.
to show as the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like killing a chicken, like immediately. It's just like, whoa, let's ease into it. Like it was way too much for the first time.
Yeah. The first time I came across porno mags was my dad rented this basically like this apartment to this guy who lived there, and he just like he looked like a white Sanford and Sons. The Sanford, like, except it was just one dude, maybe Sanford, I guess, and then he lived in he lived in this place by himself, and we never knew anything about him except one day he was cleaning out his place, and I remember like anytime I walked in, it just smelled like cigarettes, like really stale cigarettes. And so he's cleaning out his place, and he threw out a ton of shit in the dumpster. Me and my brother went dumpster diving, and I swear to God, it like came up to my hips in porno mags. He had so many Playboys, so many Penthouse.
How old was this?
Hustler. He was in his like late 50s, early 60s.
I love that in his late 50s, he's like, you know what? I need to get rid of these porno mags.
Yeah. I need
It's
to
time
hide my shit.
turn my life around.
Yeah, because he needed to hide his shit. And also, I think he got arrested for some like assault or something like years later, and he didn't want his family to find it at his place if he died. I think that's all.
So did you take a bunch of porno mags home?
No, me and my brother
Were
were
you
just like
rich in porno mags?
we brought one to school, and I showed all my fucking lame virgin friends, and they just giggled. Everyone just giggled.
I was really hoping you were going to say show all my lame version teachers.
Like, whoa, what's that thing you got over
Maddox,
there?
you're so cool. You get an A.
Anyway, Taylor, good creature there, the thing. But
Monster.
on that note, yeah, the monster. What is your monster pick, Banana?
I gotta agree. Like, I mean, The Thing, it's a great movie. It's one of my favorites. But as far as creatures go, as far as like what I consider the best is the design's great. It's the most fucking terrifying thing I could ever think of ever happening to me is a facehugger from Alien.
A facehugger from Alien.
There's nothing worse than getting your face fucked by something that's impregnating you and going to come out of your chest later when you think you're in the clear and destroy everybody around you.
Okay, that was a buzzer. and that means I disagree. There are many things worse than that. Okay, I'm going to go through some. All right. 9/11, there's one.
I would say unrequited love.
And a fair to remember, also another good
That's
one.
a different kind of burn.
Yeah, it's a different kind of burn. That one doesn't come out of your chest. In fact, it breaks your chest.
Yeah, it stays inside.
Yeah, it stays inside, breaks your heart, and then just stays inside your chest forever. What would you rather have, Banana?
Losing a pickleball game.
Losing a pickleball game?
I don't even know what a fucking pickleball is.
Oh my
Man,
God, Taylor.
You don't. It's much too early in the episode
It really
to
is.
get into
Yeah.
it.
You'll hear
I
so
think
much more
you're
about
going
it.
to have to.
I'll leave if you want me to.
Please, yeah, and sit in the hallway, Taylor, not on a seat.
I think it's weird that he's showing up in his pickleball uniform.
Yeah, always. Which is just his regular clothes. You're always in pickleball.
Pickleball has to have short shorts, right? That is the
Yeah,
uniform.
it's short, like
what is it?
70s
Is
short.
it-
I mean,
Is it a unitard?
I sincerely need some elaboration on this.
It's
It's like
basically
We're getting
tennis,
so
but
pissed because I
smaller.
keep talking about pickleball and it's making people mad. And
Yeah.
I really think next
what
week
I
we
love
should just
about it.
have the debate be what is like the best pickleball racket.
So the way I describe it to people is tennis with wiffle ball, and then Taylor always chimes in, it's big ping pong. What the fuck is big ping pong?
We've been on a pickleball riff
Yeah.
for a
I
while.
just completely lost all interest in knowing any more about this topic.
Yeah, you're correct. But the back to the facehugger for a minute, though. The facehugger is, I think it's horrifying more. Now, you're a girl. We should
I
should
think
mention.
so.
Yes, you're a girl. So is this something that's more scary for girls because a facehugger does impregnate you, right? I mean,
It will impregnate you as well, Maddox.
no, I cannot be pregnant. My tubes are tied. Plus, my stomach is too caustic. Too much vinegar.
Going to come out of your chest.
Nothing's coming out of my chest.
If a face hugger impregnates your face, it's going to come out of your chest.
Yeah, but you know what's scarier? A facehugger coming out of your chest
You know, it would
or
have been funny though if in the movie when the dude gets the alien pops out of his chest in like the diner, if like somebody was there and just had the peace of mind in the moment just to be like, I'll have what he's having, just to break the tension.
from
Well,
what was the
Didn't
movie?
that happen in a diner in Spaceballs?
Oh yeah, it did, right? Didn't that scene-
Wait, no. So wait, when did it? That's right. Yeah, I'm
Did you just
mixing up
steal
movies.
that bit?
You totally just stole that.
No, I was thinking that I.
No, you were thinking you
I haven't
actually
seen-
simultaneously came up with the same bit from Spaceballs. It's not
I think I'm mixing up movies in my head.
No, but there is that it is a parody. So Spaceballs did a parody of that scene from what is it? Sleepless in Seattle or something? What?
No, aliens.
No.
Alien.
No, the one.
Alien.
No, the scene where in the movie where they're like, "Oh, I'll have what she's having" because Meg Ryan
That was
had
that was the when
That
Harry
was
met
when
Sally.
Harry met
when
Sally.
Harry met Sally. So
Shit, that was in
Spaceballs.
Spaceball.
Yeah, so
Ah, for fuck's sake. Oh my god.
so Spaceballs did that, and then Ron simultaneously
I'm
came
a
up with
fucking hack.
it. No, you're not though. No, you're not.
I'm gonna go play pickleball.
Ron, you're not that much. of a-
Both me and Ron should just go sit in the corner.
Yeah.
No, if you come up with the same joke that's already been written and you just simultaneously do it, you're every bit as clever as the first person who came up with that joke. But back to, so we've all pitched our monsters now. I think that Godzilla of all time, first of all, how many alien movies are there? How many Thing movies are there? How many Blob movies are there?
Well, I mean, with Blob, there's like
The
one.
volume of movies is not what dictates what is the best.
Yeah,
Really?
if you're gonna go with that metric, then like Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boy are the best books ever written.
Yeah, I think that's undisputed.
I mean, they're pretty fucking tight. I mean, I'm gonna put Sweet Valley High up there too. but
Yeah,
I mean,
it's up there.
I mean, if anything, fewer movies should mean, better quality.
No,
Yeah.
that's not absolutely not true.
Definitely prefer quality over quantity.
No, but a lot of the shittiest movies ever made don't have sequels because they're so shitty. No one wants to see a sequel. And some of the movies that have,
yeah, I mean, I would love to see a Kindergarten Cop too.
see, but it's a shitty movie.
First
So
grade cop. That'd be great.
they just go through all the grades. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it get to college, calculus 2. The
Why is
College
your dad
Cop,
here?
the postgraduate
It's a little
years.
weird.
Arnold Schwarzenegger still teaching.
Yeah. I mean, he might as well at this point. He's the last Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. So Arnold Schwarzenegger went back to making movies right after being governor. He made this movie that was such dog shit. It was just basically a Dodge Charger commercial. And they were ham-fisting these commercials, this like sponsorship in the movie so hard. There's a part where they were chasing after a guy in a helicopter, and they're like, well, what kind of vehicle is he driving? He goes, it's the new Dodge Charger. Are you serious? And I'm like, well, I don't know if we can catch it.
What movie was this?
So shameless. Oh, man, I
Oh,
forget.
my
It was
God.
the first movie he made after
The new
Governor.
Dodge Charger.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. We just got an Apache. I don't know if we can catch this guy.
Wait, what movie is this?
I forget.
I
We got
don't
to
know
look it up.
if you can catch a Dodge Charger.
Yeah, it came out the year after Schwarzenegger stepped down.
I love when companies try and convince us that their like vehicle is the shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like they've been doing that. Like what's that card that they do where they're like, "Oh, I'm in the Oldsmobile." And they're like, "What? That's an Oldsmobile?" Like, and they're all like, their mind is. Or there's fucking real actor Chevy commercials.
Oh, those are so
They're the
bad.
fucking worst.
Yeah, I hate those so much.
What?
Well, oh my god.
It's like the
Oh.
people that are most easily surprised by fucking anything.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it's a fucking Chevy. It's a shitty car.
Some of those commercials, they're like in the middle of the freeway. Did they shut down the 405 to shoot a commercial for a day?
Yeah, and like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that like what happens?
or it's just a car behind a
gets a-
big door.
How can you get a permit for something like that? Like, if you shut down traffic in a whole city, like, it frustrates me how often I hate everything.
Yeah. They also those commercials too. Like they'll sit down in like whatever car. It's basically the DiGiorno ad over and over again. It's like, what? Is this delivery? What?
Do you know what car commercial creeps me the most out? Is those helpful Honda ads.
Yeah.
Just
Fucking
those
hate those,
fucking
man.
weird
How do you
things.
guys watch commercials? It's 2018. Who the fuck watches commercials?
Well, I mean,
Damn,
some of us
millennials over
don't
here.
pay for Hulu.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't pay for the commercial-free version of Hulu.
I wanted
Yeah.
to hear you joke about the helpful Honda.
Oh yeah.
It's just
We could
fucking
go-
weird.
Mhm.
Like it's like this like tall drink of milk comes up and is like, "Hey, do you need any help?" It's fucking weird. And it's like,
Wearing his Honda commercial.
I'm just
too.
a helpful Honda. I'm like, just fucking. Why don't you just sell cars? Like, just invest money in selling a car rather than giving people away free gas tanks.
Yeah.
They
I'm
have
paying
milk
for that.
in cars now.
No, it's like they meet people at a grocery store and they're like, "I'll help you carry your groceries."
Or they'll be like, "Oh, we're buying today's groceries. Today's on us." It's like, and they always act so fucking grateful. It's like you just got $38. Get the fuck over it. It's like
Does the car turn into a robot that then
No,
goes to the
it's just
store and
people
helps
like,
you?
"Hey, you know your hedge? We cut it for you. We're your helpful Honda dealer." And it's like, just sell fucking cars, man.
it's altruistic exploitation. That's what it is. They are exploiting an altruistic deed to further the stature
They're
of
like
their
giving
company.
newlyweds a honeymoon and shit like
Yeah.
that, and that's why your car payment at Honda is still too high.
Yeah, and so and the thing that really peeves me the most about those fuck ass commercials is the word random. It's just a random.
Oh, it's just a random.
random
like,
act
yeah,
of
why is
kindness.
everyone attractive?
And also, why is it filmed if it's so fucking random? Do you understand what random means?
You know, I think actually helpful Honda is
can't
the
believe you're
scariest
upset about-
monster in the
That's
world.
his whole
I'm going to
career.
replace the Blob, the helpful Honda, because shit's not for free, man. They're going to ask for something back. Or they're going to be too helpful. They're like, "Hey, you know that guy at work? You don't have to worry about him anymore." And you're like, "What the fuck did you do, Honda?"
It might be like helpful to just get assimilated by the blob because then you don't have to deal with your shitty life anymore.
Yeah, you don't. Hey, you can't make a car payment when you're dead.
That's true. Which, by the way, of all the monsters and creatures we talked about, okay, the Thing.
Clearly, the facehugger's the best.
Well, the Thing is a cool movie, but kind of a lame town monster.
I feel like it should be called like. First of all, face hugging just sounds like kind of fucking awesome.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
it should be like the face killer.
Face fucker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
face
the face
fucker.
fucker.
fuck
There
your
you go.
face.
The
fuck
face
your
fucker.
face.
The face fucker sounds like it's a chainsaw that goes into your mouth. Like that's cool. There you go. But the face hugger, it's like, whoa, what's
Okay,
that?
face
oh, no.
fucker.
Oh, what's the face cuddler already taken? Like, come on. The face fucker, that's a thing. They should
That's a
change the name.
Terrible name for a penis.
Well,
The-
technically, it never actually
Facehugger.
had a name.
The face hugger?
It's just the most commonly referred to.
No, they had to have come up with a name in this whole fucking canon, the series. Like, you think the scientists that are out in space?
I will
It
give
was
it to
like the larva.
I will give it to
of the-
evolution that it's a pretty fucking cool biological move, you know, to graduate
Yeah,
to.
because it comes out of something that's like so innocuous. It's like this like little egg, and you don't know what's going on. You're on an alien planet, like we're
and
exploring
we have
this-
seen that move before.
and like
you know,
like it's
like
My
I
prob-
feel- oh, sorry. Go
My
ahead.
problem with Godzilla is that there's very little difference in tone between Godzilla, any Godzilla movie, and any Power Rangers episode.
Ooh, you
Touche.
fucking...
Shit.
You know what, Taylor? You know what, Taylor?
God,
you
like
think
Power Rangers?
kinda, and that's not an insult, fuckface. Because fucking, it's the same fucking thing, and it's cool. They're both cool.
I
Godzilla
don't
is
know
just
about cool.
a long Power
I
Rangers
think you
episode.
loosely use the word cool on a regular
drank-
basis.
I got drunk in Hollywood one night with the Red Ranger, or one of them, and I wouldn't say cool would be the word to describe that guy.
Yeah, it's probably pretty cool. I met him at a Pasadena comic
I don't
convention.
know. It was one of actually it was a female ranger. She was like, I'm one. It was like one of the new iterations, and she was like, I'm the Yellow Ranger. And it
How
was,
hot was it that the Pink Ranger,
it-
the
but-
chick?
it would have been a lot cooler if it wasn't like in the first 10 seconds. You know, that it came out. Like if it came out after 3 hours of drinking, be like, oh, what do I do? Oh, I'm like Pink Ranger. I'd be like, oh, that's amazing. But when you open with it, then I'm never excited by anything somebody says when they open with it. You know what I mean? Like if you sit on it and you wait till the end of the night and you're, oh yeah, I do this like, you know, like, oh, me, I'm a detective. I'd be like, what the fuck? But if your first thing out of your mouth is like, oh, I'm a detective, it's like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah, it's almost like a job interview. I'm on board with that. But, and I will say this, the old moderator on the show, Ruck Ali, huge Power Rangers fan. He has like so much Power Rangers memorabilia. He tried to get me into the series. So,
I did not know that.
oh yeah, we sat around one night. We watched like ad nauseum, like probably like an entire season or two of Power Rangers.
Why?
Man,
what,
like-
what is the
fucking
core
party.
appeal? Because I really want to understand this, and I absolutely do not.
You know what? I will be honest. With Power Rangers, I don't quite get it, but the Japanese Power Rangers is super cool. And I was showing you some GIFs earlier. There's this Tokusatsu GIFs on Twitter. You should follow this account because
Those gifts are on par with the your aunt's photos that are superimposed on top of lions with inspirational
So
quotes.
I showed Banana. My aunt in Syria, the Facebook post that she posts. She's really stepped up her game. There is a photo.
They are brilliant in every way, shape, and form.
It really is. There's a picture of like a lion in a savannah, and it's just like, you know, he's just like sitting there moseying, and then there's like her face with like a foggy kind of outline.
Oh my God.
Like
in the
moon.
shape of a heart, like
Yeah.
the like fade. Isn't it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's so great. It's amazing. I love my aunt.
So is she
in
making those?
italicized font.
I guess, yeah.
What was the quote?
It just
Have
sometimes
a
it says
nice
good night or
day.
good morning
Good
or have a nice
night.
day.
Yeah, it just says good
Good
night.
night. It makes me so happy. It
my
really genuinely
God.
makes me happy. It's like one of the few things, like, because there's so much earnestness and sincerity in what she's doing. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
there's a certain authenticity
it's
to it.
Yeah.
totally authentic.
absolutely.
It's genuine, and it feels like it's coming from a time capsule. But speaking of time capsule, fuck the thing. So Taylor, your big argument was like, you don't know who it is. Ugh. Well, guess what? Guess what's scarier than the thing? The Godzilla who's been infected by the thing.
Gotta
right?
disagree with you on that.
What? That's a ding means yes. What are you disagreeing? What?
I don't think it's more terrifying than the
You
thing.
think if Godzilla was impregnated with the thing? By the way, how's a facehugger gonna impregnate Godzilla? It's too fucking small. Godzilla would eat it.
You can hide from something that's as big as Godzilla. You can get away from it. Like, it's a big thing that's just coming towards you. It's like a wrecking ball. It's like a fucking hurricane. Like that.
First of all,
is not
the blob is
terrifying.
coming
That's like
towards
okay,
us all.
You're just
The blob is the fucking climate change.
the blob is like assimilating into nothingness. Like, okay, I'm gonna just be gone now. That doesn't scare me.
The
That's
blob
like,
is
you're
like-
here and then
okay,
you're gone.
you know
like,
when you-
that's not.
you know when you use
nothing
maple
about
syrup-
that is terrifying and like just draws out and makes you feel terrified. Like the thing does. Like that will make you terrified. There's
When you
tension
use-
that gets built.
Maple syrup on your pancakes, honey, maybe in your coffee or tea, and you know when you close it, and no
honey
matter
in
what
coffee?
I do, and it's actually
do too.
fucking
It-
awesome.
it is
I
awesome.
turn them on to it.
Ron is
Honestly,
correct.
it's great.
Banana, you're wrong. Ron is go on.
Whenever, like, no matter how you close the jar or how many times you wipe it down, like, the outside of the jar is always going to be sticky. And whenever you touch your honey jar, you're like, how the fuck did the outside of it get sticky? I've been so fucking careful about closing it, but the outside gets sticky, and it's always going to be there, and it spreads to your shelf, and it makes everything sticky. Okay, the blob is that, but it just doesn't stop. Your whole world becomes sticky. It's like a giant jizz stain on the earth.
Yeah.
And so all these things can be scary, but the blob is going to overtake everything because the blob is never satiated.
Good coffee, though.
Yeah, great coffee.
Once you become the blob, you are no longer conscious.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
part of something bigger than you.
You're just running from something. That's so like boring.
You know
Like,
what, Banana? I got to fucking call foul on your fucking pick because the facehugger is creepy. All right. Now, there's something unsettling about a facehugger who impregnates you with its fucking parasite, its larva, that then makes you unconscious, and then all of a sudden, boop, you're a host for some fucking baby that you can't. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. H.R. Geiger designed the aliens to look like penises, and the facehugger to look like vaginas.
The most appealing creature designs are based on genitalia.
I mean, it's appealing to like 14-year-old boys who.
To anybody, we naturally are like predisposed
Wait, what
to
are
be
some other-
attracted to those type of visual
What are some
cues.
other character designs that are based on genitalia?
Like almost all of them.
Here's another reason you're wrong, Maddox. You know how you defeat Godzilla at the end of every movie? You can't defeat the thing. Godzilla is always killed at the end. That's why it's not as good of a monster.
He's not killed at the end.
Well, they don't kill him, but they stop him. You know what? You can't
They
stop
stopped
the thing.
He was when okay. We're gonna go back to the thing. All right. How does the movie start? Where is the thing? Oh, it's fucking frozen in the Antarctic. Guess what? That stops the thing, doesn't it?
You're
No, it
pausing
only
the
puts a
thing.
time out on the thing.
It's a
Don't call it
timeout.
a comeback. He never went away. He's
will
the
still be
Dr.
there.
Dre of monsters.
That's what they did to Godzilla.
The
He
thing
froze.
comes
they
back
froze
out
him.
with some beats by Dre, makes himself relevant again.
The Godzilla is not a threat because you know at the end of the movie they're going to stop him. That's the
Yeah.
arc of how it has to go.
don't, though. How come
just
there's so many?
Every time that's how it goes.
All he does is take a couple of acres out of downtown Tokyo,
Yeah.
which they rebuilt.
Casualties.
Yeah, again,
blah, blah,
because
blah.
it's a fucking analog for the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But we get it. But if Godzilla is ended at any of his fucking movies, a single one of his fucking movies, which he's never been killed, then how come there's so many Godzilla movies? All right, Godzilla is the parallel to the James Bond franchise because just like in James
Yeah, except
Bond.
Godzilla doesn't fuck.
Yeah, he does, dude. Everybody, every single person should drop what you're doing after you listen to this podcast 3 times, which I recommend, and watch Shin Godzilla. It's the reboot of Godzilla that came out in Japan. It's such a good movie.
When did it come out?
It came out last year, I believe. And Godzilla, all right, already a badass, right? Godzilla's like super cool. He fucks a lot. He crushes a lot of pee. But
Does he seriously fuck in the movie?
yes. And you'll know why. You'll know why by the end of it. It is so fucking dope. They made Godzilla so badass, man. They
Does he?
fucking.
Is
kick
there a
that-
point where he tips his shade to the camera and he's like, "Oh yeah"?
Maybe spoiler on.
Is he kind
Anyway.
of like the Spuds McKenzie version of Godzilla?
Yeah. Well, every Godzilla is the Spuds McKenzie version of Godzilla. All right. Final words, everybody, on your picks. Godzilla is super cool, badass. He gives you cancer just by standing to him. He has super molten breath. He has destroyed a black hole before. He's taken out many, many creatures, and he's destroyed his own version of the shittier, inferior American Godzilla.
It's basically it's like a Marvel movie. Like, you know how a Marvel movie is going to end. There's no actual like stress involved in watching it.
Exactly. It's anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a color by numbers type of
Wrong.
film.
You know what? Fuckface. Here's something I do know the how it's going to end. Your next promotion or demotion coming up on this show. We're going to put it to the vote. I'm just pissed now. Well, we should. What else?
The
Ron?
blob. The blob is like the sun. It's going to become a red giant and destroy us all no matter what we do. It might take longer than these other monsters, but you will die, and it's the waiting. It's the stress knowing that no matter what you do, it's not going to change anything.
And you're not picking the helpful Honda. Honda commercials.
The blob,
The blob.
but with an assist by the helpful Honda
Okay,
people.
there we go. And Taylor, final words on the thing.
Now, I haven't seen the Blob, but from what Ron's saying, I can get very much on board with you. I feel like you're
I feel like the blob
probably-
and the thing would hang out.
I feel like we're pretty similar in terms of like our monsters have the same kind of tone and all that
Yes,
stuff.
totally,
but,
absolutely.
No, I'm right though, so we're gonna move on.
And Banana. What's
I'm
your?
sorry, there's nothing more terrifying than a creature that violates your facial orifices.
You
And
know?
when you think everything's normal and everything's cool and you're feeling great, just decides to pop out
Non-consensually too. I should
and eat everybody.
I am interested to see the voting for this because I feel like, I mean, I have my beliefs, but honestly,
But they're wrong.
everybody's made pretty good arguments.
You know,
We did.
If you don't want a face hugger, you just don't go into space. Like, it's as easy as that.
Taylor.
It's
You
the
realize-
final
Yeah.
frontier.
But you
okay?
realize-
Taylor's in the corner, be like, "What were you wearing? Huh? What did you do?"
You can't not go into space.
Yeah,
You
Taylor-
really wouldn't want to go into space if you had the opportunity to go into.
Well, after
fucking
Godzilla's
space.
blowing up the planet.
Yeah, you have no choice. But also, Taylor, these are mining missions and mining operations. So these ships eventually return home to their mother base. And
Yeah.
with them, they will bring the facehugger. So that is a moot point. Taylor disqualified.
Any monster you can shut the door on, I'm not afraid of.
But
You
the
can't really shut the door on it, though.
aliens have acid that eat through the
Yeah,
corrosive acid
Their-
that eats through the
their
walls.
blood
really?
is
Yeah.
acidic and can eat through any material that we.
You know who
man-made.
can eat through any material? The Blob. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
Vote on madcastmedia.com. Don't forget to vote. We'll be reviewing the results of this week's debate next week. But I have the debate from last week.
Okay, before
Go on, Ron.
no, we got. Listen, I feel like I did not state my case properly. Banana. The last week the debate was what was their stupid fucking title?
Is soccer a dumb, shitty sport for stupid idiots?
I think all sports are dumb and shitty.
Okay, but soccer. in
Literally the
particular-
first thing she said to me as
Yeah.
I walked in the door was,
Yeah.
"I think sports are dumb."
Yeah, dumb and shitty. Well, Ron, hold on. Before we give you defense, we should at least cover the results. You may have won.
Yeah, I fucking.
So I put it to the vote on madcastmedia.com. Is soccer a dumb, shitty sport for stupid idiots? And with 53% of the vote, yes.
Oh man, that's way closer than I thought.
Very close.
I consider myself the winner of that round.
Okay, can I just give a short?
I wasn't even here.
Here's my short pitch on why you should give a shit, even if you hate it. The World Cup, and listen, fuck all other soccer. I get it. I truly do. But for the World Cup, it's a thing where once every 4 years we get together as a country in a public space, preferably a space that serves alcohol, and as a country we watch 3 games. That's fucking it. And I guarantee you don't need to know a shit about this sport, but if you go to a pub and you watch it with a bunch of other people, you will have fun. The most games you can
That
play
sounds
in a
like
World
the
Cup,
worst thing ever.
you are
It's
allergic
like one
to
of the
fun.
outer rings of hell.
What, to go to a bar and get
Yes.
drunk with other people?
And then watch sports? That
Listen,
sounds
man,
awful.
we can't all fucking watch Adventure Time all the goddamn time.
Ooh,
I don't
do
watch
like
Adventure
I watch
Time.
Adventure Time. I like it a lot. You look a little bit like Marceline. That's who you are.
For
from
fuck's
Adventure
sake.
Time.
All right, fine. I lost it. I had this whole speech planned. I was like, I'm going to come in hot.
Here it says Lumpy Space Princess over here.
Sorry.
You know, Ron, I
I'm
will
not.
say this. Had you made that argument last week, because I do like the brevity of
Once
the
every
soccer.
4 years.
Yeah.
That's it.
3 games once every 4 years.
If we
I
do
can get
well,
on board with that.
If we do really well, maybe we'll get an opportunity to play 4 games. If we do really fucking well, 5 games.
That's the same argument on like Olympics and curling. You get together every 4 years to watch curling.
It's nonstop for like 2 weeks, and you can't watch anything.
Yeah, and nobody's getting into a bar getting shit housed watching it. I mean, at its core, the World Cup is just basically an exercise in various kinds of racism, because you just have this tribalism. And guess what? The Germans are exactly what you think Germans would be like.
Yeah.
You know, the Japanese, they clean up their fucking locker room
Yeah,
after
they're
they
very
got out of the tournament. They literally cleaned up the locker room because they wanted to be good hosts. They're nice
What
people.
are the Germans doing in their locker room?
You know, just fucking weird porn.
And they're dancing to techno like always. And then we also asked the second part of the debate last week. Which would you rather watch, baseball or anything else?
I forgot about that.
And with 86%.
Oh,
of the
wow.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Oh, my
correct.
God.
Yeah. Finally, our listeners have a sensible opinion, which, by the way, 86% is a little bit low, I still think.
I think a lot of
Do
people
any
watch-
of your listeners like play any sports at all, though?
You'll find out because we've got some voicemail. Listen to this. Here's the first voicemail. Taylor, this one's for you. Listen to this.
Oh my fucking God, I left that last message before I heard Taylor go on his little anti-hockey rant. Taylor, the state of Minnesota officially disowns you. You are no longer from Minnesota. So fuck off if you don't like hockey. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. So apparently some of our listeners have
Wow.
some feelings for hockey.
I think you just broke Taylor.
I know, Taylor, Minnesota is, I forgot, like it's a huge hockey state.
Yeah, I forgot too.
You border Canada. You're basically Canadians.
Oh,
The fuck are you doing, Taylor? Inappropriate. So Banana, last week, Taylor brought in a story about how this is like a fucking story. Every few years I see making the headlines like bananas are going extinct, bananas are ending. Oh, it's the last time we're going to have bananas. I see this story every few years. It's a fucking, hype up headline bullshit. So
Where do you get your news?
Hey, baby.
Taylor's our news babe.
He's our NPR.
Our journalist in moderation.
Right.
So I put out the call to have a banana scientist call into the show because you would not believe the number of people who listen to this show that we also happen to talk about in the news stories. And we got one of those banana scientists to call in. Listen to this.
Hey, ass clown. You like bananas? Yeah. You just keep on talking shit. And you know what? Maybe I'll just waste my time calling into his stupid-ass podcast. And maybe you're never going to have a banana again. Yeah, no more exotic fruits for you. Fuck you, Maddox.
What did that guy say?
Prick.
First of all,
Respect my fucking work, okay? Alright, bye. Love you, Taylor.
Love you too. Thanks for acknowledging.
I wouldn't call bananas exotic.
No, they're not exotic, shithead.
They're not exotic when they're sold at Trader Joe's for 19 cents.
Yeah, they're not exotic when you can find them in a bodega and also slip on one while you're walking down the street. Like, they are everywhere. Bananas are fucking everywhere. They're not going anywhere.
A good source of potassium.
Bananas are the CrossFit of the fruit world.
There we go. Bringing it back. Ron Babcock.
Bananas are the best fruit that can also double as a weapon.
Bananas get sweeter the more damage they become.
Aw. Banana, a little bit of projection. All right, here we go. We got another voicemail. This next caller called in to correct Taylor because Taylor wondered why hockey players don't get their teeth replaced. Well, here's a voicemail about that.
Hey, Maddox, long-time listener, first-time caller. This message is actually for Taylor in regards to his comment he made on last week's episode about why hockey players don't just get tooth implants done. Taylor, the reason why they don't do that is because they don't want to spend the time or money to have that procedure performed, only to potentially get their teeth knocked out again at a later date. Anyway, love the show. Keep up the good work, and fuck whales. And
That sounds false. I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, and no, it makes sense. If your teeth are just going to get knocked out over and over again, then yeah, of course you're not going to get them replaced.
Nah, I bet it's like a badge of honor thing.
Yeah, well, okay, I believe that guy. Here's another voicemail. So we have a longtime listener on the show named Weird Matthew McConaughey. He calls in with just the strangest voicemails at times. This one, he called in with a life hack on how to make your mouth dry. Listen to this.
I've always wondered how to do such a thing.
Oh, he's got it.
Hey, here's a little trick. You want to make your mouth feel very dry? Just put your mouth on a banana peel. I don't know why it works or what the science is. Maybe another caller could come in with that nugget of truth. But it'll do it every time.
Yep, that's...
Let's all this week put our mouth on a banana peel.
But yeah, actually, I do know what he's talking about because I have bit a banana peel before, and it does make your mouth really
Dude,
dry.
let's all fucking do this. Everyone listening, everyone in this room, we're all going to put banana peels in our mouth this week and see what happens.
You know what? Let's do it on the next podcast episode. We'll just eat a banana peel.
Okay.
And then we'll just sound like dry-mouthed idiots on this podcast.
And finally get that sweet, sweet dry mouth Weird Matthew McConaughey keeps telling us about.
Yeah, we can get that Weird Matthew drawl on his calls.
Are we all going to talk like him afterwards? Like, hey.
Yeah, we can only hope. It's a sexy voice. Here's another voicemail. So last episode, I talked about how one of our callers called in and said he was happily married for 8 years or something like that. So I put out a call to our listeners to say, if you're happily married, if you're in a relationship, I want to hear from you because I think it's kind of rare in this day and age, especially in hookup culture and that sort of thing. So we got a bunch of calls. I got a message on Facebook. This guy said he has a loving wife. I clicked on his profile. I'm like, yeah, every picture looks like they're very much in love. And then we got a voicemail about that. Listen to this guy.
Hey, Lord Maddox. You were requesting people to call you that have been happily married. I've been happily married for the past 10 years. I was married at 18.
Ooh.
I have 3 kids, and life's great. So, we're out there. We still exist. And we listen to your shitty show. That's about it.
Fucking douchebag. From Utah, also, by the way. That the caller from Utah. Of course, you're married with 3 kids, and your life is great, life is happy. I don't think so, because you're listening to this podcast. Nobody happy listens to this podcast.
Man, that's the truth.
And we got a voicemail from the bad hombre. Listen to this. He's talking about baseball, Ron.
Okay.
Yeah, listen to this.
Hey, what's up, cabrones? Once you're stoned and kind of drunk, baseball is kind of tolerable.
Hey, there you go. You gotta
A
be
ringing
stoned.
endorsement.
Yeah,
of baseball.
when your cognitive ability is obliterated, you can enjoy baseball. I agree with that. And we got another voicemail. This is an angry caller about soccer. Listen to this.
Hey, dipshit. So, who the fuck are you, man? There's nothing like taking out some aggression on some other dudes. You're just a pussy and afraid to play it.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man.
What's he talking about?
Soccer. He's just angry that I don't like soccer. And then also, Banana, last episode, we talked about how soccer is, kind of it's a sport that doesn't have a lot of sponsorship. Well, the bad hombre disagrees with that. Listen to this.
Hey, cabrones. Hey, this guy says that, like, every 30 seconds they have advertisements on football, basketball, all that shit.
No.
Have you ever fucking seen a soccer jersey? It's like every fucking company has a fucking soccer sponsorship everywhere in the fucking world. And you want to tell me they're not trying to advertise you? There's no fucking commercials. Oh, what about those fucking banners in the back? They're not fucking commercials. They're not advertising to you 24/7. You don't think people like fucking look at that shit instead of looking at all that boring ass fucking, oh, he passed it left. Oh, he passed it right. Oh, game over. 0-0. Fuck you, fucking bastard.
Nailed it. He got soccer in a nutshell, man. And that whole game is just like walking advertisements. I didn't even
there's advertisements in the back. They're passive. Sure, you have Hewlett Packard on the shirt, but you don't have to watch like a 30-second story about Shaq who eats Taco Bell so he can make free throws.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Remember
Right?
those, they were actually pretty great commercials.
Yeah. We got one last voicemail from the Real Christian Atheist. Listen to this. It's about a new horror movie. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one.
Hey, Lord Manox, it's me. Have you ever seen the movie Constipation? It's probably because it hasn't come out yet.
That guy fucks.
You know he does. All right, that's it for the voicemail, guys. If you want to leave us a voicemail, go to madcastmedia.com. The voicemail number's on every page on the Best Debate. But we should get to some quick news headlines with our journalist in moderation, Taylor Nikolai. What do you got for us?
Speaking of monsters, a mutant cow has been born with 2 heads, baffling farmers. Video footage shows the farm animal being bottle-fed by local workers as a second identical face emerges next to the first.
Whoa.
The calf shares 2 pairs of eyes and heads between one skull and was found in Brazilian town Capiona, I'm pronouncing that wrong, by the farm owner's wife.
Talk about a facehugger.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. Two heads on that cow, huh?
Do you sell the milk? Do you murder the cow in hopes that it never comes back? Or do you sell like the milk and meat for even more?
You take that shit to India and go on tour.
Hours later, the animal died.
Oh my God.
Bravo, Taylor.
It wasn't meant for this world.
No.
A man and a child were rescued after being suspended high above alligators while stuck on a zip line in Orlando.
Wait, they were stuck on a zip line over alligators? That seems like cartoonishly planned.
The pair were ziplining at Gatorland, so yes, when they got stuck about 40 feet above a gator-invested water on Saturday. TJ Mills recorded the pair dangling in the air saying, "You really think you're having a bad day? Let me show you what a bad day looks like," while zooming in on the 2 suspended in midair.
I mean, to be fair, most of Florida is infested by gators.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're going to go ziplining anywhere, there's a possibility that this happens.
They probably just had a zip line, and eventually the gators moved in. They couldn't get rid of them, and they're like, Gatorland. And so all these idiot tourists just signed up, and they're like, well, you got what you wanted, dipshit.
Well, were they really heavy people, or is it one of those things where if you're too light, you don't have enough weight to get down the zip line?
I think it was a man and his son.
Ron, it's America. They're always heavy people.
Yeah, a man and his child.
Ron, it's Florida.
Yeah, they're heavy.
Have you ever gone ziplining?
Yeah. Like when I was a kid, we at summer camp, you'd go ziplining, and it was basically an exercise in how much your balls would hurt.
I went ziplining, and I know like that there was that South Park episode where they were like making fun of it, but I had a great time ziplining.
Where did you go ziplining?
Hawaii.
Oh, so you zip pretty hard, bro?
Yeah, zip pretty hard, and then we went over a waterfall, and it was a good time. I had a good time.
I would love to meet someone who that's their thing. Like me, I zip. Like that's their sport that they do.
For a minute. After every now and then I'll have like these career change ideas, and for like 2 weeks in the 90s,
you're gonna become like a zip head.
I thought about it. I was like, this could be my life. I could just drive this thing and tell the same corny jokes to these tour groups every time, and just do some zip lining every day, eat a bologna sandwich, go home, fucking call it a day, and get drunk and bang some tourists. That seems like a good life.
Why did you give up on this?
I haven't. I'm still, it's still milling about in my head every now and then. I'm like, maybe I'll stop being Maddox and I'll just go be
There's
a zipline
no
guy.
time like now.
Yeah, that's okay.
What's wrong with people who go bungee jumping?
I don't know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, I think.
No, I feel like, and I'm making a very bad joke here, but I feel like bungee jumping is like simulated suicide in some ways.
I mean, like, it's not the 90s anymore.
It's suicide.
Do people even do that anymore?
Yeah,
that's the
people
thing,
still
though, like
bungee
jumping
jump.
off a bridge is still thrilling. I mean, I imagine like if we had the opportunity to bungee jump right now and we did it, we'd be like, holy fucking shit. The thing is when you make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
Like when you have a bunch of GoPros in your head and you're like, I'm gonna fucking bite. Like you can still do things and not tell anybody about
That'd
it.
be an interesting study to do. How many people have bungee jumped in the last 5 years who didn't document it on social media?
Yeah, it's like having
Zero.
a van.
Zero.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, can you actually own a van and travel the country and not start a blog about it?
Yeah.
It's just like, we don't have to fucking communicate every fucking thing we do. Otherwise, because then it's like the thing you're doing isn't great in and of itself if you have to constantly tell people about it.
When you just said that, Ron, I just realized
You wanted to start a van? Zip line out of a van?
No, but I haven't seen a van, like a modern van, in years. Did they stop making vans? Except for like the rape vans that the maintenance workers
They
use?
got those European square ones now.
Yeah, but that's it. But they don't make like those old vans. Like anyone who has a van that drives across country to tell their bullshit stories, it's always a van from the 70s.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, I guess I haven't seen a new van. The only new vans I know of are like, church youth groups that got some sweet coin to spend.
Yeah.
They pony up for that sweet Ford.
Or the like weird old people vans with the tinted windows. Like, that's not cool. You're not going to fuck in that. But minivans, which is just like...
No van is cool to fucking. Ever.
I mean, but they are comfortable to fucking.
Success Success could be in your DNA, according to a new study. Scientists have found social mobility is partially written into our genes, which can make us high flyers or high earners. A study of more than 20,000 people in the UK, US, and New Zealand found those with certain genetic variations earned more money, had better careers, and got further in education.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, it does sound like... Well, you
Like,
know what else is in our...
genetic variations?
Well, yeah, but you know what else is in our genes is inheritance. That's what genes really come down to. Is like, you inherited your parents, like not just their genes, but their fucking wealth. Great job, dipshit. Wow, you had rich parents.
It's just a little weird. It's just another one of those things that we're like, well, now we have another reason just to be like, well, it's not in my genes.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Regardless of which class they came from, their genes could help them do better in life than their parents before them.
A lot of people do better than their parents before them because the future is now.
Yeah, our parents didn't have the fucking internet. We do.
We
have options.
Got to worry about the Blob, the Thing.
Facehuggers.
Yeah, facehuggers.
And Godzilla. Our parents still have to worry about Godzilla because they're still making Godzilla movies. When's the last Aliens movie with facehuggers coming out? Never.
Scientists have...
Wow, I really fucking slam dunked your...
What?
So smarmy.
Yeah, it was a real smarmy there.
Covenant came out more recently than the last Godzilla, so I don't know where you're...
Wait, what movie came out recently?
Alien Covenant.
Oh, Alien Covenant.
So I think, you're wrong.
Yeah, well, we'll have to fact check that. Taylor's our fact checker.
Scientists have discovered what they say is the world's oldest color.
Oldest? What the fuck does that
Who
even mean?
gives a fuck what the
World's
oldest color?
No, what's
What
the
fucking
oldest color?
asshole?
Let me guess.
Do you
Dirt?
wanna-
Rust?
No, it is bright pink.
That sounds like bullshit. No way.
The pigments were discovered after researchers crushed 1.1 billion-year-old rocks found in a marine shale deposit beneath the Sahara Desert in Africa.
You know
it's
what?
not color, it's pigment.
Yeah. Some prick, all right? Some prick, like, pulls up this, like, fucking rock. He bashes this old-ass fucking rock, right? It's like 86 million years old. It's like, well, what'd you discover? And he's scratching his ass. He's like, fucking nothing. There's nothing in here. It's just a fucking powder. And then they concocted this fucking bullshit-ass story. It's like, well, it's the world's oldest color. It's like, no, it fucking isn't. You found nothing. This isn't a headline. This isn't a headline.
It is a headline because he found it. And it's a news story.
Counterpoint, it is a headline.
It is a headline because it is a headline.
So sassy. Sounds like something a normal person from California would say. No, not us like Blair Witch people who were like suffering with like, forest witches. But anyway, Taylor, got anything else?
You really think that's the best horror movie? Like, you still stand by that?
No, I changed my answer to
Fair to remember.
either the Blob or the Thing. I would say the Blob, probably. What else you got, Taylor?
Japanese manufacturer Honda, also known for its cars, jets, motorcycles, and marine engines,
Fucking creepy ass sales associates.
Yeah, and robots that trip over stairs.
Yeah, when are they going to figure that out?
wants to reclaim its title for making the fastest. Do you want to guess?
What, the fastest way for your Bluetooth to not work? Because they got that title down.
Yeah, could they get the fastest fucking downloads for their updates? Their 84 gig updates that I have to download over broadband?
What? Honda?
Honda? Oh, I'm thinking of Sony. Sorry, they all look the same to me.
Oh, wow.
The companies, the corporations.
Wow.
Oh, boy. Oh, Jesus.
Japanese manufacturer Honda wants to reclaim its place for the title of fastest lawnmower in the world.
How dumb.
God, why do they just make fucking cars?
Yeah, just make something, Jesus.
The original mean mower could hit 130 miles per hour and set a Guinness Book World Record at 116.575 miles per hour in 2014. The current record holder, a modified Viking mower made by a Norwegian group, hit a top speed of 134 miles per hour a year later. They're aiming for 150.
This is the saddest pissing contest I've ever heard. Like, the fastest mower. Like, if I came home after winning first place in the world's fastest mower, and I was married and my wife said, "What'd you do, honey?" I would say, "Oh, nothing." I would be ashamed to tell anybody, let alone someone I loved and cared about.
You're never going to have a wife, though.
Correct.
Okay, now I know what they're doing. They're taking it as like a drag race. You know, that's how they're doing it. If it was doing 150 miles an hour and taking turns and corners really tight and actually mowing a lawn at that speed, I would be impressed. But if it's just a straightaway, you're just building a fast motor that happens to have a spinning blade attached to it.
It does cut grass.
Yeah, but it's just in a straight line. Okay, I needed to cut grass like I cut grass when I was a kid.
Well, the blade
Which
would
was
have to be
super fucking badass.
Yeah, me too. I was a really good lawnmower.
Yeah,
The blade
you and me
has to
both,
be
man.
it has to be synchronized with the speed at which the wheels are turning, because if the blade doesn't make a full cycle per length of the mower, you're not going to get an even cut on the grass. And by the way, where are they even testing this thing? What do they have, like fucking yards and yards of football fields? Oh, sorry, soccer.
Probably.
Hate this story.
Did you ever have to clean when you cut the grass as a kid? Did you turn the mower over and like have to take like a little old paint scraper and scrape out all the grass that was cut inside there?
Oh yeah.
Occasionally, until my dad got a riding mower, and that was so much fucking fun. Like the kids in the neighborhood would want to come over and ride that thing.
I remember scraping out the shit on the inside and always having to like disconnect the one wire because I was like terrified that the blade would just start up and cut off my hand.
Yeah.
That's it for news, except I did find an article from NHL.com that does explain that it is a rite of passage to have your teeth be gone.
Yeah, but that sounds like an op-ed. It sounds like some guy's like, yeah, it's everyone loses a tooth in hockey.
Yeah, I mean, like 5-6
everybody
players.
gets a concussion in the NFL. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, right.
What's my name?
That's it for
my wife.
That's it for the news, Maddox.
Thank you, Taylor Nikolai, our journalist in moderation. Banana, thank you so much for joining our show this week. I should also mention before we close out this episode, if you want to follow Ron, it's at Ron Babcock on Twitter.
And Hey Ron on Instagram. Or, just go to heyron.com. That has all my shit.
There you go. And it's a really well-designed website.
You know what? It's made in iWeb.
Okay.
From like 2012.
I cannot.
Thank you, Maddox. Thank you.
And Taylor Nikolai is at Taylor Nikolai on Twitter.
If you haven't followed me yet, you probably won't.
It's been a while.
I love Taylor. And I'm Maddox Rules on Twitter. Guys, don't forget to follow us. The show continues on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All right, that's it for the show. Thank you for joining us, Banana.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us, Taylor Nikolai.
Taylor Nikolai.
Thank you to the First Tangent Officer, Ron Babcock.
Follow me at Taylor Nikolai.
But most of all, you're welcome.
You want to play soccer for fun. All you're doing is running around getting kicked in the shins a bunch.
Hey there. Don't forget to subscribe to Madcast shows on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Okay, bye. Madcast Media Network.